Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my post-trip Vegas Q&A, or really my Q&A for 2025. I kind of like doing these once every 12 to 18 months. It keeps it fresh. Means I'm very rarely answering the same question again and again. So thank you so much to everybody that submitted questions at the end of the last vlog. They cover all sorts of subjects from Vegas itself to the YouTube channel and everything in between, really. So charge your drinks. And let's see if we can get through everyone's questions in the next hour or two. I've been back from Vegas now for coming up 3 weeks. It's amazing how quick time flies. So I thought I'd better record this and get it out to you before you forgot about the trip in its entirety. Suzanne actually is off to Morocco on Sunday with her daughter Francesca. Now, obviously, as you know, I do a lot of solo Vegas trips. And when I came back from the previous one in March, Suzanne says, oh, well, you know, you always go to Vegas on your own and you leave me looking after the dogs. You know, it's not fair. And I said, well, you know, if you want to go away, why not? Just book it. And literally within 2 days, Suzanne and Francesca had a trip for late September booked. It did make me laugh, actually. And so I'm delighted for them. They're both going. Their first trip, just the two of them, leaving me holding the baby, or the dogs in this case, which is all good. Yes, Suzanne's holiday season is not finished. Mine is definitely finished. But let's tackle these questions and discuss Vegas. Okay, so first one is from producer Paulie. How you doing, mate? Great series as usual. Looking forward to 2026. 3 questions. Have you ever had an overall winning trip? Yeah, I've had a few, actually. Although I would say that since my gambling stakes have increased, not as many as I used to when I was betting 75 cents a press. Somehow it was kind of possible to do, it seemed, back then. Probably on shorter trips, mind. But the last winning trip was when I went to Tahoe as well. So it was the Vegas Tahoe trip, which was probably October 23. I remember that trip very well because I never broke into my I think I had 9,000 in the safe, and I never broke into the 9,000 stack all week. And I think it was either 8 or 9 day trip. Absolutely amazing. I did really well on free play. I had obscene amounts of free play at Plaza. I think it was like 1,600 or 2,000 or something crazy. So yeah, that was a really epic trip. Really, really good. His second question: in all your trips to Vegas, have you ever inadvertently been assigned the same room twice? I don't think so. No, definitely not. No, not that I recall. And question 3, what does your typical day look like when in Vegas? When do you get up? When do you go to bed? When do you edit the vlogs? And when do you gamble? Well, as I'm sure all of you can appreciate from the solo trips versus the ones with Suzanne, it very much depends if I'm on my own or not. I would say for solo trips, I always have 2 individual bouts of sleep. So I will normally sleep from around about, I would say 4 or 5 in the morning to around 8 or 9 in the morning. And then 4 or 5 in the evening to around 8 or 9 in the evening. So I do 2 blocks of 4 hours, so 8 hours over a 24-hour period. I will always edit first thing in the morning, so say 9ish for an hour or so, and then upload when I go to sleep in the afternoon. And then as I'm out in the evening recording, as the finished video is uploaded and then goes through the copyright process with YouTube, I will then insert the ads and all of that stuff. So I do all of sort of casual admin, and once it's uploaded to YouTube, kind of on the go, the rest of it is either first thing in the morning or uploading when I'm asleep. And obviously gambling really is more or less just the evening, most of the time. I do a bit in the afternoon, obviously the Starbucks run when I can get up in time. As far as Suzanne's concerned, I always do a Starbucks run because she pushes me out of bed to get one. And I will then probably not really gamble too much until the evening. But as you've seen, the hours are far more normal. I would get up a lot earlier, be in bed probably midnight, 1 a.m, although there were quite a few sessions this trip where I stayed up a little bit later. In fact, the one where I went on tilt, I didn't go to bed till 4. But one thing I won't do if I do stay up late, Suzanne's body clock, really, actually, just a wider point. Suzanne's body clock is literally like a machine. She goes to Vegas, doesn't suffer from jet lag, comes home, doesn't suffer from jet lag, just sleeps at 10, wakes up at 6 or 7, and that's it. I mean, it is. I'm never anything but amazed how her body clock works. Whereas with me, I'm all over the place. the early part of the trip, during the trip, particularly when I get home with the jet lag more often than not. This time I think it took me a week and a half to get back into rhythm again. But one thing I won't do if I go out late, and I say I roll in at 4, if she's getting up at 7, I will not lay in. I think that's disrespectful. If you're going to go out after your partner's gone to bed and you roll in late for whatever reason, after many beers, etc., I'm not going to lay there and laze away the day. I will get up when Suzanne gets up, get her coffee, go down to the pool with her. I can always snooze by the pool or whatever. So that's pretty much it. And I love both trips just the same. I really do. I wouldn't want to be without either, to be honest. Okay, second question from TGLip24. How you doing, mate? I feel like your big ups and downs of this trip and the last couple of years is partly due to the move to between $4 and $6 bets, whereas before you were more of a $2 to $3 player 5 or so years ago. Do you think it's that, or more about the volatility of every new machine that's made now? Now that's a really interesting question. I think it's a bit of both. The only thing I would say about the $4 to $6 bets is there's a lot of 50p spins or 50-cent spins you don't see. So normally of an evening I will start doing 50 cent versus $5. So you're averaging $2.75. I show you the $5 bonuses, but and actually this trip they were the majority $5. I didn't have huge numbers on the 50 cent. Or that goes in cycles. Clearly, but so it's not all $5 bets constantly. That's the thing. Although I think when I start losing, I'd probably just go $5 all in. So yes, you are right fundamentally. So that definitely has a bearing on it. There's no doubt about it. But I do think the volatility is now these days off the scale. And it's not just Vegas. If I go into London and bet, £2.50, £3 a spin, or sometimes I do £5 a spin. It's often you have to go £600-700 down before you start mounting a comeback. So I think volatility has an awful lot to do with it. And rather than sound like a crap record again, this trip was the worst for volatility, but probably the best for excitement. And these slot manufacturers know what they're doing, don't they? They know when they make these games that's what's going to happen, and it drags you back in. And it's all relative. Even if you're a 50-cent player, the volatility is still going to be there. You can still lose your arse on 50 cents a bet. It doesn't take long. I think it's 6.5 dozen than the other. His second question: I really enjoyed your walkthrough and memory series. Yeah, I did too. Any chance of doing new versions as those are 6 years old now, and thus new memories and maybe some new properties that you haven't done yet? I think I love doing those, and I was going to do one at Fountain Blue actually. I mean, obviously there's not huge amounts of memories of Fountain Blue because it's only just open, but kind of discussing the fact that it was built and a lot of the history of it being derelict for so long. But I do think there's not the demand for those walk around videos that there used to be. One thing I did do last year in 2024, I did an update on my strip walks from 2019. I kind of wanted to do an updated version 5 years later to show you what had changed on the strip and potentially then afterwards downtown. And I did 3 strip walks in 2024 and no one really watched them. My original 2019 ones, I think the views were something like 20, 30, 40, 50,000. It was huge. And these struggled to hit 10. So I think unfortunately with YouTube, I think an awful lot of walk around videos with YouTube has been done to death. And I don't think there's the appetite for it with people like there used to be. And I was really proud of these 2024 strip walk videos. I thought they were as good as the ones I'd done previously. But clearly the viewers didn't agree because no one, they didn't do particularly well. So I kind of thought after that, I might do a 5-yearly updated strip walk, really just for my own benefit, just to document what has changed. But I'm not sure I want to put too much effort into these type of videos that do take a lot of your day out doing additional content to the daily vlog, if fundamentally people aren't going to watch them. I mean, it just is. Vegas YouTube is obviously saturated. It's very difficult for new channels to gain an audience these days, which is a shame because there's some great channels. But I guess it's just familiarity breeds contempt, right? I think that's really what it is. Okay, the third person is Lorraine. How you doing, Lorraine? Would you and Suzanne ever come to Vegas for an entire month? I'm not sure Suzanne would. I did in 2007. I got laid off from my job. I was made redundant, and I had a big redundancy payout there. And I thought, this is ideal to go to Vegas for an extended period. I was living on my own at the time. It was a couple of years before I met Suzanne, and I came to Vegas for, I think it was either 24 or 25 days, 4 different hotels. Got my first ever hand pay back then, and loved it. So I would 100% go to Vegas for a month. And of course, a couple of years ago with the Bridge Across America, I did 3 weeks traveling across America and then 2 weeks in Vegas. So in effect, 5 weeks in America, which was amazing. So I would, but I don't think Suzanne would. Therefore, realistically, I'm not going to go to Vegas solo for a month. So it probably won't happen, I'm afraid. Okay, next question from John UK. How you doing, John? What trends or changes have you noticed in slot machines over the years, and how do you think they impact the gaming experience? Well, I've kind of answered that in the last question, really, from TG Lip, I think. Volatility is the name of the game, the bells and whistles, and for a lot of these games, it's all an overload on the senses, only to pay you, $12 or something. It's. I think when you just used to have the 3 reel games, double diamond, 5 times pay, all of that type of thing. All right, they weren't as exciting, but the payouts were so much better. But these days, when you hit a bonus, you see some people on kind of like a $25 bet hit a bonus for $50. That shouldn't happen. Or to get like 2x times your bet on a free spin and not hit the hold and spin after having waited a couple of hundred to get it, is harsh, isn't it? Really. So I think there's a positive and a negative for that. The gaming experience in terms of everything that's going on and the excitement is off the scale to what it used to be. But I think you kind of lose sometimes that feeling of having had proper gameplay for your investment. No one expects to win, but you like to feel like it's at least played with you for a bit, don't you? So that's really it. And I think also the max bet on the lower denomination games. I always remember everyone used to frown at penny slots. In fact, there was, I think at Riviera, there was a penny, was it Penny Arcade it was called? There was the side bit of Riviera towards the end before it closed. There was a section that was all penny machines. And I remember we used to walk through there and kind of scoff, oh, look at these penny machines, aren't they pathetic, blah, blah, blah. And when you look at it now, those are the days when everything was 25 cent, really. It was that was the majority of the casino floor. And when you think now everything's pennies and, the max bet can be up to, crazy amounts. That's changed beyond belief. It really has. But I wouldn't say it's better or worse. It's just different, and what your expectation in is different. If they went back to just having 3 real games on the casino floor, people would leave in their droves, wouldn't they? It just wouldn't give them the same level of excitement. So it is what it is, I guess. Okay, and the next question from Hoking100. Saying, are you considering another A Bridger Across America series for 2026 or 2027? I don't know. I'm tempted to, but it won't be next year or the year after. If I did it, it would be for my 60th birthday. The last one was for my 55th. I'm 60 in 2028. So I would like to do something special for that, but that might just be going back to Vegas, of course. But if I did it, it would be then. I haven't really discussed it at any great length. I did have a brief conversation with Jules about it, and all he said was give me enough notice, which obviously I would. I'll be honest, it's 50-50. Part of me says that would be so exciting, but part of me says it will never be as good as that first time. You know, the first Bridge Across America was so amazing. It went so well. I'm not sure, could a second one ever live up to it? Could it really? I mean, obviously we'd do a completely different route, and it wouldn't overlap on BAA 1 in any shape or form. I don't know. It's tempting. I'll never say never is probably what I would say. One thing I will say is, being a massive lover of horror films, I always love like having the logo. So I'd keep the same logo, and I'd have this big 2. So it'd be Bridge Across America 2 over the logo, you know, like you do in horror films, you know, Freddy's Revenge, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. You know, it's that's definitely how it would be. I've got the graphics and everything totally done in my mind if we ever did do it. That is for sure. So the T-shirt would be decent. Extreme Daily Drivers. Hi, mate. Another great trip. For the Q&A, 2 questions. One, will you be doing the 30 Days of Halloween again on YouTube? And I am convinced, based off your experience and mine, that the big slot wins come between 3 a.m. and 8 a.m. The big slot losses come in the afternoon and evening. What do you think? Firstly, the 30 Days of Halloween, for the 99.9% of you that didn't watch it, wasn't on YouTube. It was actually on Instagram. Last year I decided to watch one horror film every day for the whole month of October, and just do a little review at the end of each film. I really enjoyed it, actually. It was really fun. I was determined to keep it up. It's quite an undertaking, that. One film every single day for 31 days. So yeah, it's... I won't be doing it this year, sadly. With everything going on back here, I won't be able to guarantee I could do it. In fact, I would be surprised if I do one a week, actually, at the moment. But maybe in the future, for sure. And in terms of big slot wins, 3 a.m. and 8 a.m., I'm not sure, really. I think it's very random. I'm trying to think of the time of day for my big ones this time. They probably were, actually, mostly in that kind of time span. The big 3,000 odd one was around about 10 o'clock in the morning. Afternoon, evening, I don't know. I do think it's random. I mean, I only tend to play it at those sort of times anyway, really. Either first thing or late on. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a random thing for sure. And a question from Deborah Wittenbach. Everyone says Vegas is now so expensive. It's becoming a vacation spot of the high rollers only. Did you notice the increase in price? I was having a conversation, actually, with my mum and dad about this the other day. I was explaining... My parents don't watch my vlog. They don't really understand the gambling side of it. They understand the YouTube side of it, and they like the fact that I do these YouTube videos, and are quite proud of the fact I do them, I think. And I explained... my dad said, "Oh, did you win?" And I said, "No, I didn't." I said, I think we lost together about $5,500. And he sort of went, "Wow," like this. And then I explained to him how the whole trip was made up. I said, "Yeah, we lost $5,500, Dad, but just park that amount and let me explain how Vegas works with the players' cards, and the fact that we got 14 days free rooms. We had X amount of resort credit, X amount of free play. Drinks were pretty much free, blah, 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 blah." And he said, "Oh, right, okay, no, that makes total sense." And he could totally... I did all the calculations for him and said, I lost, roughly 4,000 odd pounds. If you knock off my YouTube, which is about 2,000 odd pounds, in effect, 14 days holiday cost Suzanne and I £2,000 for 14 days away together. And when you look at it like that, and yeah, and of course, not everyone has YouTube channels that can help knock off the deficit. But to be honest, even if it was 4,000, I still think for a 14-day break in the States, in the quality of hotels we stayed at, I think that's decent value. So in answer to your question, Deborah, I think if you play the game with Vegas, if you're a gambler and you play the game, I still think there is definitely value to be had. I don't think it's that expensive. And if you're going for, a long weekend, I mean, not everyone goes for 14 days for a start, do they? I mean, if you're going for a long weekend or maybe a week maximum, I don't think it's that expensive. I mean, clearly it depends how the gambling goes. I mean, you can have bad trips, I'm sure. But I haven't really noticed the increase in price since Vegas opened back up to Brits after COVID. I remember going back just after COVID, and your kind of $50 lunchtime snack at the pool bar all of a sudden was $100. I remember that, and that was quite something. It was like, oh wow, we're just having a bog standard BLT or burger or whatever, and that's almost $8,500 with a couple of drinks, But I think since then it's probably tapered off, and it's not gone up much since. One thing I do think is that everyone seems to be slagging Vegas off a lot now. I'm not sure if there's a question further up on the page about whether Vegas was busy as usual. I mean, obviously everyone's trying to say it's not. I can honestly say we didn't really notice much difference. And even after I'd mentioned that the stadium swim was particularly quiet, just after that, at the weekend, it was absolutely heaving. It was really busy. So it was maybe because it was midweek when we checked in at Circa. But I certainly didn't notice a massive difference in footfall to any great degree. Neither did Suzanne. Vegas is just Vegas, and people are always going to slag it off, I think, really. But no, I didn't really notice much difference over I haven't noticed much difference over the last 5 years, pre-COVID certainly. Question from Jim W. How you doing, Jim? Many thanks again for sharing your trip, Matt, to the special place. Question: have Derek Stevens Properties now sorted out recognising comps / offers availability for customers who live outside the USA, Canada and Mexico? Yeah, good question, Jim. Well, yeah, yes and no. I logged on to my one card the other day. I've done it on all of my cards that I used. So just to rewind a little bit, I've already got an offer at Venetian after being home for a week or two of 5 free nights in either Venetian or Palazzo with 300 free play and 100 resort credit. Fantastic. Couldn't have asked for any more. Came through really, really quickly, and we will definitely be taking advantage of it. The MGM rewards card, it's too early to really check that. It'll be next month when that kicks in. So I'm going to be very interested to see whether my free play and resort credit has gone up. Now, in terms of the one card, Derek Stevens card, I logged on the other day, and for the first time ever, I do have comps. That's the good news. Now, bear in mind, my coin in was around about, it was over 20 grand. I think it was about 23,000 down there. They are offering me a couple of free nights at the D and Golden Gate, plus 45 in free play, but just discounted rates from Circa, not free rates at Circa. So that, so yes, they're kind of offering me comps. I mean, Chris says just contact me and we'll arrange, free rooms for you anyway. But in terms of the computer generated offers, they are less than generous so far. Now, bearing in mind, the coin in at Circa was almost identical to the coin in at Venetian. And at Venetian, as I mentioned, 5 free nights, 300 resort credit. 300 free play and 100 resort credit. And Circa, no free rooms and 45 free play, or you can slam it down at the D or Golden Gate. So yeah, there you go. Remember, whether that change is moving forward, I don't know. I will keep a very close eye on it. It'll be very interesting to see. But I guess the positive from that is at least they're offering me something, which is the first time that's ever happened. And from Alfie and Charlie, how you doing, guys? How many Budweisers do you think you consumed during the trip? Well, one thing I learned during this trip, actually, is that I think I've drunk more than I probably have. If you remember, there was one vlog at the end where Suzanne said to me, no, I've counted the number of rounds we've had, and we've had 6. Now, I thought we'd had at least 8 or 9. So clearly in my head, I'm a bigger drinker than I really am. So based on, say roughly 6 a night, I don't tend to drink during the day. I'm not really a daytime drinker, if I'm honest. So if you look at around about 6 a night over 14 nights, that's 80 odd. So even if I went up to sort of 8 a night, which is in my head what I drink, it's probably around about 100. So let's go for 100 bottles, shall we? Somewhere between 85 and 100 anyway. Still too many. Message from Paul Harrison. My wife and I are looking at our first Vegas trip for a 1-week duration. We are planning £10,000 total spend all in. We do visit UK casinos for a fun couple of times a year. Sorry, we do visit UK casinos for fun a couple of times a year. Any tips or suggestions? Okay, well that sounds to me, Paul, like you're thinking of booking an all-in holiday. I don't know whether that's true or whether you're looking at booking the flights and hotels separately. But if you want my advice, I would book the flights and definitely book the hotels directly with each resort. Now, if you've got 10 grand to spend in a week, I mean, that's quite a lot. And assuming you're going to gamble a reasonable percentage of that amount, you would definitely qualify for back-end comps. Now, the issue with booking a Virgin holiday, for example, where you book the flight and then you have, say, Luxor tagged on top for an overall price that you pay up front, is at the end of the holiday, there is no way that Luxor can comp you the room because you've already paid for it. So if you just book it directly with, say, Luxor or whoever it is, they will then charge you the room charge once a day for the time you're there. At the end of your trip, before you check out, you can go up to the rewards desk and say, right, for my play, can you comp off any room charges? And they will look at your play and comp what they are able to do based on that. So that is the overriding tip and suggestion. I hope you're hearing this before you've gone and booked a holiday. That's a mistake a lot of people make, actually. If you have already booked it, all I would say is, and this is what Suzanne and I did for the whole trip, is everything you spend in the resort, charge back to the room. So every single meal, drink, whatever it might be, charge back, and then at the end you might be able to get that waived. It's always worth checking with a host or the rewards desk at the end of each trip to try and get any charges taken off. As I said in the wrap up to the last series, I was successful everywhere apart from a little bit at Venetian that was left, but that was less than $200. It wasn't a huge amount. And again, it's all part and parcel of this game you play in Vegas, where you have to be a gambler, and if you are a gambler, they will kind of look after you, And hey Helen, how you doing? Hey Helen. As many times as you have gone to Vegas, have you ever gone to the Hoover Dam, the Grand Canyon, Red Rock Canyon, or Zion National Park in Utah? Kind of an excursion from Vegas. Yeah, I've done Hoover Dam, yes. Grand Canyon, yes. Red Rock Canyon, yes. Zion National Park, no. The last time I did all of those, actually no, not Grand Canyon, but the other ones, was with Suzanne when we went for New Year, because obviously it's not summer and therefore there was no sunbathing for Suzanne. I made sure we hired a car and we had an excursion every single day, and it's a real fun thing to do. My favourite excursion is definitely Area 51, Rachel. Some of you may remember I went there with Colin. It's just such a fun excursion. Going to the black box, driving up to the gate of Area 51, and having a burger in the Little Alien. That is my favourite excursion. So if you haven't done that one, I would thoroughly recommend it. And it's probably one of my favourite historical vlogs of this channel, actually. But yes, I think doing day trips away from Vegas is a fun thing to do. And actually, I've not done it for a little while, but yeah, we've done it a few times in the past. Okay, Amanda Dodgson. I would like to ask a question regarding accommodation. Are the park rooms quiet enough for a 2-week stay? Good sleep quality, walls not too thin that you can hear next door talking. Thanks, Matt and Suzanne. Well, Amanda, I had a Nighthawk suite at Park. I didn't do a room tour this particular time because I've had that suite and done a vlog of it a few times in the past. But the good thing about the Nighthawk suites, if you come in from the elevators, they are literally straight across and are the first room, like in a corner of that sort of circular bit where you go off to the various towers. And as a result, they're quite big, and you almost have like you go in and then there's a safe room and a walk-in closet, and then you sort of walk round to the bedroom and you're not really next to anything. So they are incredibly quiet. I haven't stayed in a regular room there for some time, so I can't really recall on that. But I would say if you get a Nighthawk suite, you will 100% be in the quietest rooms in Park MGM. We didn't hear a thing for the few days that we were there. And a message from Poker God. Are you a poker god? Poker God? Always love your content, Matt. I have 2 questions. We're going to Vegas for the first time next Easter. Oh, right, okay. Any advice you would give first-time visitors? And second question, off topic. So if you don't want to answer, that's okay. As a fellow owl, what got you following Sheffield Wednesday? We are roughly the same age. 1979 was my first season and I was hooked. Oh, well, I'm glad to have another fellow owl on the channel. There's a few of us, actually. Any advice for first-time visitors? Well, everything I said previously about booking flights and hotels separately for the reasons I stated would be one of them. Secondly, I would 100% stay centre strip for your first time. You want to be able to get about easily. Centre strip's where it's at for the first-time visitor. And I would absolutely 100% write down everything you want to do in a very full and all-inclusive way, so that you've got something booked every single day. You probably will not end up doing everything, but I would just have a journal or a spreadsheet with everything you want to achieve and see and do and what have you before you arrive, because it's just so overwhelming. I never understand people that land in Vegas and say, "Oh, I visited Vegas for 1 day and flew off somewhere else. I've done it now." I just don't understand that at all. I'm still going 27 years later and I've not done everything. It's just an amazing place. I'm kind of jealous that it's your first time and you must be really looking forward to it. So centre strip, have a full itinerary and book everything separately. And in terms of Wednesday, it was historical connections with my family on my dad's side. Came from the Sheffield area. My dad used to play for Reading in the 60s, and so I could have supported Reading, I guess, because he used to play for them. But the first game he ever took me to was Reading against Sheffield Wednesday, and I said, based on the history in the family, I'm going to support Sheffield Wednesday, and I have ever since. I was going to say maybe I should have supported Reading, but actually they're pretty much in the same boat that we are at the moment, aren't they? So anyway, let's hope things improve for the Owls moving forward. Huh? And a question from Frank. How you doing, Frank? A very nice vlog again, Mr. Bridger. I have one question. When I go to visit Las Vegas for the first time, what resort should you recommend when price is not an issue? So similar question to Poker God. I would say if price is not an issue, I would probably go for Cosmo or probably Bellagio. One of those two. And that would be for the location and the fact they're pretty posh places. I like them. Steph Chesney Bryce. How you doing, Steph? Another amazing series. Thanks for sharing. Well done on all the wins and the memories you had with Suzanne. Which casino would you like to be back? Well, it would have to be the Stardust. I probably look on it with rose-tinted spectacles these days, but for me, it was just a real magical place, steeped in history. I loved the layout of it. It was just a real fun casino to go in, and I was very upset when that closed. The other one that springs to mind always when I'm asked this question is Aladdin. Obviously now Planet Hollywood, you can still see the remnants of Aladdin in there all over the place. And I thought that was the best themed hotel Vegas ever offered. And I thought it was a crying shame that it never really took off, it was a shame. And I was lucky enough to stay there once, but it was a fantastic resort, really good. I hadn't gone to Vegas long enough to go in the original Aladdin. This was the rebuilt Aladdin. The original one was all shuttered up, and actually I do remember being there when Paris opened, which was that 99 or 2000, and the old Aladdin had their sign up and it said "Congratulations Paris," and then that was imploded and the new Aladdin rose from the ashes. Yeah, I loved the new Aladdin, I really did. Next question from Tina Lanning. How you doing, Tina? Always sad to see your trip end. Always very entertaining. I'm going in October. What is your favourite place for a great prime rib or fillet? Definitely Boboski's, I'm afraid. As we said in the vlogs, really, it's our favourite steak restaurant in the whole world. So if you haven't tried it, try it. A lot of people said Hugo's Cellar at Four Queens. I've not tried that, but I must have had 4 or 5 comments saying, why don't you try Hugo's Cellar? So maybe I will. And The Beholder. How you doing, mate? Great end to a fantastic series, buddy. Thanks for the vlogs and entertainment. Question, I know you touched on it briefly in your vlogs, but do you think the numbers are down in Vegas, as so many have mentioned? And if so, what do you think Vegas could do to buck the trend and get the visitors back? Well, as I said, I didn't really see a great deal of difference, but fundamentally, I guess stats don't lie. So even if I didn't notice a difference, they clearly are down. The one thing I think I mentioned it when we went to see Spiegelworld's disco show. I don't think there's enough rotation of entertainment in Vegas. You tend to get the same headliners for years upon years upon years. At least with the Sphere, they've kind of started mixing up the headliners a bit. You've had U2, you've had the Backstreet Boys and the Eagles, so at least they're mixing that up a little. And the resident shows, again, some of them have been going pretty much for as long as I've been going, And so I just think keep mixing them up a little bit more, But again, it's whether or not they just don't want to put the investment in, or they don't think what they get back is good enough for the investment that they'd need to throw down. I don't know, but to me, I just think it should be more. You should basically go onto Vegas.com or whoever you book your tickets from a month or two before a trip, and be surprised at what comes back at you as an option to go and see. I mean, apart from this Spiegelworld show, I don't think there's a Vegas resident show that either I've not seen or I've not seen because it doesn't really appeal anymore. So it's really going to be the odd concert here and there, or nothing for me from now on, because there's just nothing new that's on the horizon. That must help, mustn't it? But I don't really see any. I don't really see them doing it. And if anything, they seem to be tightening their belts, don't they? Rather than thinking, right, let's give the punters what they want. Let's give them the variety and the new investment and the new shows. It seemed like we had it for a while, and then they've just settled on what they've got, and that is their offering, and that's the end of it, which I think is a real shame. Simon Henshaw, how you doing, Simon? Great videos and great entertainment as always. Good idea for the Q&A vlog. We're in Carlisle, and luckily we don't have any casinos here. We normally travel to Newcastle, Blackpool, Manchester or Leeds. Question, do you ever get further north than Sheffield on your travels to visit some of the other casinos around the country? Yes, I have done. I've been to, well, only slightly further north than Sheffield, but I've been to, obviously, Victoria Gate in Leeds. I've also been to visit Michael and Lindsay Vegas Baby in Sunderland, and we went to, was it a Grosvenor in that? I can't remember the casino, but there was a little casino near the Stadium of Light that we went to. I've not been to any others. I'd quite like to go up to Scotland and what have you. But those are the only two I've been that are further north than Sheffield up to now. We did go, Suzanne and I did go to Blackpool within the last sort of 7 or 8 years. We didn't actually end up going in any casinos in there, actually. But I know there are some along the Golden Mile. And Catherine Prates. Thanks, Matt and Suzanne. It was very enjoyable to watch. I'm going in a month and can't wait. Hope to have as much luck as you did. I was thinking of doing a vlog, but really don't know how to do it. Any tips or instructions on how to do it would be appreciated. Tips on vlogging. I mean, it's a very difficult thing to offer tips on, really. Probably trying to do it while you're there as a new vlogger isn't a good idea, I wouldn't say. So I would certainly say film all your content and do it when you get home. That way you've got more time to sort of get on top of the editing side of it and all of that. I think just be yourself. Do it your way. Don't chase viewers for the sake of chasing viewers. And just enjoy it, you know. Don't go into it with no expectation. That is the thing, I think, is the number one. I think nowadays, with a lot of new channels, there is an expectation of trying to. It's almost like there's a new vlogger tick sheet. You know, it's set up the Facebook group, do this, do that, blah blah blah. I don't know. I think sometimes when I started, there was no monetization. There was no expectation. That's the word I'm searching for very badly. There was no expectation. It was a very naive thing to do. I didn't know what I was getting into at all, and it was just fun for that reason. It's like, no, let's just have a go at this and let's just see what happens, you know. And I think now it's much more calculated. So try and go back to that naivety and that just having a go for the fun of it, and not try and be the next big thing as such, you know. That would be I think that comes across in people's vlogs when they just enjoy vlogging rather than vlog to try and find an audience. Does that make sense? So yes, just have fun with it, and you will get better. If you look back at my early ones, they were absolutely awful. I mean, I never said a word during slot bonuses or anything like that. And you ultimately, you do find your voice and find your niche and find the way that suits you to do it, really. And once you've done that, you've got it licked, and you can just knock the. When I'm in vlog mode, I can just knock them out day after day, no issue with, not huge amounts of time involved. Although this trip wasn't quite like that for reasons I'll come on to in a later question, actually. But anyway, Catherine, if you do it, enjoy it. And Carla and Connor says, would you ever consider going on cruises? This is interesting. I'd love to gamble on the ships and get my cabin stroke drinks comped through the players program. Yeah, this is cruising always used to be seen as an old person's thing, didn't it? But since COVID, when for a while all people could do was get on ships, it seems to be back in vogue again a little bit. But does it? I don't know whether it really appeals to me. I kind of wanted to do it recently in the last couple of years, and Suzanne said, "Oh no, you won't enjoy it," and she kind of put me off a little bit. One thing I don't like the thought of is being sort of enclosed on a ship and not being able to get off, or being maybe, sitting on a table with people eating your food and you can't kind of escape from them. One thing I like about Vegas, obviously, is you can just go and you can either go out at ridiculous times of the night and no one's you're not going to get bothered by anybody. You can, if you don't want to, you don't have to speak to a soul for a whole week. Whereas on cruises, I kind of think you're hemmed together with people a bit more. So that kind of puts me off a bit. And then when everyone gets off the boat, everyone goes, and it's all a bit too touristy. So that kind of puts me off. But part of me says I ought to go just to experience it. I don't know whether we will, if I'm honest, but maybe. And a question from Hull Caliph. Hi, Aid. How you doing, matey? Another Sheffield Wednesday fan. Another great vlog series, Matt. Many thanks, especially considering the circumstances. Question following on from seeing the Backstreet Boys. Which band would you like to see at the Sphere? Would it be Soft Cell, bearing in mind that they could be better in a more intimate venue? Personally, I think Kraftwerk would be a great fit. Now, I read this when you posted it, Aid, and I was racking my brains. And I actually think Kraftwerk is one of the best suggestions there is. They've got that 3D show, right, which I've got on Blu-ray, actually. And it would be a great thing for the Sphere. And it's that kind of music kind of fits the Sphere. So Kraftwerk would be excellent. The one I came up with, in addition to Kraftwerk, would be the B-52s. Now, they're in Vegas anyway at the Venetian. I really want to see the B-52s in Vegas. So talking of shows and what would get me back to Vegas, a B-52's residency again at Venetian would certainly be one of them. And I think they would be excellent at the Sphere. I can just see the lobsters flying around in the background, I think the B-52s would be great. So that would be my choice. And the Beholder is back again. How you doing, mate? I see there's some trouble brewing about the authenticity of some of these so-called Vegas streamers. Safe to say, buddy, you are 100% authentic and gamble with your own money and not money provided by sponsors or casinos. Keep up the sterling work, dude. Actually, I don't know whether that's even a question, but actually, I wouldn't mind commenting on it. I did watch Mr. Hampay's video about these high limit channels that are, according to Mr. Hampay anyway, are playing with casino money on online streaming. I do watch some high limit channels, and if that's the case, I think it's appalling. But I also think, I really like Vegas Matt. I've watched him pretty much since he started. I started watching Alligator Capone and also Max Bet Omar recently. I do think the high limit channels have got a little bit out of control in a way. What was once considered high limit at sort of $25 a press is now like $125 or $250 a press, or in some cases $1,250 a press, which is completely insane. And we seem to be just pushing the envelope bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger to be the channel that does. When it's not going to be that long until it'll be the first channel that does a $5,000 spin. In fact, it's probably already happened. I don't know if there is a machine that does a $5,000 spin, but if there is, it's probably already happened. I do think these channels they start off very good, but more often than not, they end up getting very, very full of themselves, and it loses its authenticity because of that. Vegas Matt is independently wealthy anyway, so I've no doubt he was playing with his own money. He is playing with his own money. It's still completely out of my range, but I kind of like looking at what would happen if I gambled $10,000 in a session, and just pretending you're kind of in his shoes. I guess that's what everyone does, otherwise it wouldn't be so popular, right? But even with Vegas Matt, who I think is very funny and I do like him, it gets to the point where you start doing that, and then the bets are then increased, whereby it's over $100 a spin more often than not, and then you have the second channel, Vegas Matt and Auntie Mabel and the next door neighbour, and then you have the streaming thing once a week, and I think you can just have too much of a good thing. That's really what it boils down to, and I think it dilutes the enjoyment of the whole offering, really. In a way, I think that's why I quite like, on my little level, and I'm insignificant, but on my little level, I quite like the fact that I do a week or two's worth of vlogs all in one quick dump, if you like, and then I go dark for 3 months. I just think it keeps it kind of fresh, and even if I do a 2-week trip, I'll be honest, by the middle of the second week, I can see the audience appetite for the vlogs as soon as they've released. It does tend to wane a little. So you kind of do see that. Because obviously, you get a lot of analytics back, and it tells you after like half an hour what sort of out of the last 10 videos where this one is ranking. So you definitely see it. I would say sort of 8 or 9 days, it's strong all the way through. And then either people haven't kept up, or they're beginning to just lose interest in you a little bit, which is totally understandable, by the way. So you've got to be very careful, and don't just throw out content for content's sake. And I know it's a business, and all of this for these channels, and even at my level, I appreciate the ad revenue and what have you, because it helps the trips, right? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, in two minds about it, and I jump around from all sorts of different high limit channels and what have you, and they never seem to last long. I tire of them quite quickly. And the next question from Misk YouTuber. Sorry, miscellaneous YouTuber, I assume that means. I love your vlog, and I want to ask, have you ever thought of moving to Las Vegas? I would never move to Las Vegas. I love it as a holiday destination. I love it when I land there. I've got a ridiculous amount of money in my pocket based on kind of normal weeks, So within reason, I can do what the hell I like. It's like venturing into complete fantasy land for a week or 2 weeks before going back to normality and budgeting like a normal person. And I wouldn't really want that to change, and I wouldn't want to be there and not to be able to treat it like a holiday. So therefore, I think it would spoil Vegas for me if I lived there. So no. And Ian Kelly says, I noticed Richard in the background of the group pull at Circa. Did you manage to grab a catch-up stroke chat with him? Yes, I did. Richard was there along with Chris and their social media team. So I had a chat with Richard. He's all good. He was sorting out some celebs that night, and Derek was around. So yeah, Richard is fantastic. And one of my proudest moments on this channel was interviewing him way back in 2020. So it's all good. And Leo Lowe says, great vlog and great series as always. Some of us live vicariously through your adventures. In the past, you did walkthroughs and walked the strip. A bunch of what you have encountered and recorded no longer exists or has changed radically. In some sense, you have captured moments in time, somewhat like a documentary or historical record. And then it's similar to the last question, actually. It says, question 1, do you plan on continuing the walkthroughs in the future? And question 2, would you consider doing comparisons of what is there now versus older footage of what you have recorded and encountered in the past? Yeah, as I said, I've done them. I don't think there's the appetite for them as much, if I'm honest. But I am going to continue with strip walks every 5 years for that exact reason, so that I can show what was there and what now isn't, and maybe splice in old footage of what was there versus what is now. And even if it doesn't perform as well as the vlogs, for me, I find it interesting to look back on that and have a kind of document of the changes every 5 years in Vegas. So I will continue to do those, but probably nothing much past that. And Forgotten Gems, hiya, fantastic series. I seem to enjoy each one more. Well, thank you. The quality of your vlogs is excellent too. Thank you for sharing with us, and I hope you can enjoy quality time back home in the coming months. As for the question, I was just wondering if there are any artists who, if they did play the Sphere, oh, there you go, who would you most certainly book a trip back? B-52s. And then Mick Fox says, what apps do you use to turn out the vlogs so fast? Now, this is what I was going to come back to. I use Power Director. I have an S24 Ultra, 1 terabyte S24 Ultra, which is without doubt the best camera I've ever had. But after this most recent 2-week trip, I've actually I'm pretty much down to about 3% of memory, and once I've recorded this Q&A, the whole phone will be filled up, so I need to back it up to the cloud and get rid of the footage for the next trip, whenever that is. So I have an S24 Ultra, which I love. I always record in 60 frames per second and regular HD, not Ultra HD, purely because of the upload speed. In Ultra HD, for me doing it in Vegas, it just isn't possible. So until it is possible with enhancements to uploading and Wi-Fi speeds and what have you, it will always just be in full HD. And I use Power Director, but the Power Director is pretty good, and I've used it all the time I've been doing vlogs. But every time I start back with it after a 3 or 4 month break, they've fiddled around with it, they've changed it slightly. There's a new bug that wasn't there before. The first couple of days this trip, I had a massive problem with basically every time you had a transition, the picture would flicker every single time. There was a problem with the color saturation. It would flicker to very pale and then back to the normal color, and it would do it each time. And I had 3 days worth of vlogs which all had this problem on them, and I didn't know how to I didn't know how to correct it, and I was literally at the point of abandoning the vlogs and just having a look at it when I got home. It ended up being, I then had a look online, and it ended up being an issue with the HDR, in that Power Director cannot edit videos with HDR. So I turned off the HDR and I downgraded the clips to no HDR and then re-edited them, and they all went fine. Now really, you can't see the difference in the video that much. You can if you're very eagle-eyed, but not really. And that basically meant that I was fine to carry on, but it was so frustrating. And I just thought, blimey, this is my 30th consecutive trip and I've never missed a day. And because of Power Director, I'm going to potentially miss a whole series, or at least delay it until I get home. Anyway, I sorted it out at the end of the day. So yes, I use Power Director. It didn't save me any time this trip, quite the opposite. But it's the one I get on with the best. I did have a look at a few other ones. Is it CapCut is one of them? But I just didn't get on with them. The thing with me and the way I do the vlogs, it's all on the phone. There's no computer. It's all on Power Director. It's the way I've always done it. I'm not actually that technically minded. So if I had to change it in any way, I don't think I'd be able to. I know that sounds really weird, but it's true. So I kind of rely on these apps and this phone to do it like I've always done it, because I think I'd really struggle if anything too much changed. So hopefully it won't. But I think next time I'll probably edit a quick video before I actually arrive in Vegas to see whether there are any new bugs in the Power Director app before I actually get there. That probably would have saved me a hell of a lot of time. And Blucky Car Boot Hunting. Well, that's an interesting name. Coming away £4,000 down for 2 weeks is not bad, really, considering. But I'm amazed that on all the free play food and drink credit you got. I'm with Caesars Diamond Plus, and all I get apart from free resort hotels. Sorry, it's free resort hotels. My free play is $75. No food or drink credit apart from a $100 celebration voucher. I pushed through 15k, walked away with nothing, and offered 75. A bit tight. Is MGM worth moving to? Right. Now I was Caesars Diamond Plus the year before last, and I would agree with you. They are really, Caesars is great for free rooms, and it's great for no resort credit, and of course you do get your $100 celebration dinner. I never got $1 of free play pretty much anywhere, but what it did allow me to do, when I did Bridger Across America, I could book back-to-back nights in different cities using Caesars, and there was no requirement to have a 72-hour gap between stays. So for that reason, it was absolutely fantastic, but I think it's far worse than MGM rewards for resort credit and free play, for sure. Now, having said all of that, I'm platinum this year with Caesars, and I haven't actually played in a Caesars property all year. but they've started sending me free play offers now, kind of like 100, 125, something like that. So they seem to be coming around a little bit. I seem to get an email from them pretty much every day. But yes, if you're coining in 15k, you ought to expect some free play and resort credit for that. So if I were you, car boot hunting, I would definitely switch for maybe the next year and see whether it makes a difference. Some people have actually told me that they think MGM Rewards offers Brits better free play and resort credit than US friends. I don't know whether that's true, but yeah, give them a try. And Russell says, "Hi Matt, just wondering if the UK is exempt from taxes on hand pays. I'm from Canada and they take the tax from me right away." Yes, it is, providing you have an ITIN number. I've been asked this question so many times, but fundamentally, if you gamble in MGM properties and hit a hand pay, they will sort out all of your paperwork so that you get your hand pay with no tax withheld. If you gamble in Caesars properties outside of Caesars Palace are fine. Every other one outside of Caesars Palace will tax you, and downtown will tax you. So really, MGM, I think Venetian are probably okay as well. Resorts World are okay, but yeah, I would stick to MGM if you haven't got an ITIN number. But you shouldn't be taxed because, in effect, all Brits do not get taxed on gambling winnings, and we have a tax treaty with the US, which means that the US mirror our own tax setup here in the UK. So no tax in the UK and no tax if a Brit gambles in the US. And JG187 says, have you ever been approached for any form of sponsorship on your channel? That's actually a very interesting one, and going on from what I was mentioning about some of the high limit streamers, it's no different at my small level. You have to get the balance right between earning a bit of money off your videos, and I don't see any problem with that, and not becoming a pain in the arse to the people that watch. Now it's interesting because I would say, as a rule of thumb, most Brits that watch my videos don't like channels that become, in their eyes, commercialised, i.e. try and make a living, not a living, that's wrong, try and make money from their videos. Whereas I think Americans tend to embrace it more as, hey, you've got the opportunity, you put the effort in, why not? My view is very much more on the American side than the Brit side. I don't really understand the hate towards channels that do monetize and, in some cases, accept sponsorship. I monetize, but all of the automatically placed ads that YouTube drops in my videos, I delete all of them, and before I go live with any video, I will drop in ads that I think at a reasonable, with a reasonable gap between them. So if I was a viewer, I wouldn't be too pissed off watching it with a few ads here and there. So roughly every 10-15 minutes there will be an ad. It will be at a natural break point. It won't be in the middle of a bonus. It won't be in the middle of when I'm talking, etc., etc. And hopefully it doesn't spoil the viewing experience too badly. I get sponsorship requests every week. Actually, every day. The best one I ever had was for, in fact, the only one I've been close to saying yes to was for a blow-up doll. And this is at the end of the Christmas trip last year. They said, they emailed me and said, it was literally as I got off the plane, having been in Vegas for a week, and they said, we think you'd be the perfect match for our life-size blow-up doll. And then it went on to say, all we would need is a 30-minute integrated clip. 30-second integrated clip, 30-minute. 30-second integrated clip. And I thought, fucking cheek. 30 seconds? Anyway, that was the only one really I've been close to accepting. It would have been an absolute laugh trying to do a 30-second clip for a blow-up doll. But I've never, other than that, there's a couple of channels, right, mentioning no names, who I've got a great deal of respect for, who've recently done what I would consider sort of out-and-out adverts for, well, it's luggage in this case. I think it's actually the same brand in both cases. Now, I don't have any issue with them doing it whatsoever, absolutely none. And if I was offered something that I thought was worth doing and I felt I could do it, I honestly would. But watching their sort of ads for this luggage brand, I showed Suzanne. I said I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't be able to keep a straight face, kind of thing. I don't know. I guess it's whatever you're comfortable doing. I would do sponsorship if it was a brand I firmly believed in, and it was a good fit for me. But so far, I've not had anything that I would even consider. Joking aside from the blow up doll, I've had nothing that I would even consider. Not even been close to saying yes. So I focus on the ads, and as I think I mentioned early on, I earned around about $2,700 this last 2 weeks, which works out just over £2,000. Which actually ad revenue was down a lot. It's normally about $10 per 1,000 views, and I think it went down to about $7. I think August is pretty bad month really, but because I was doing a 2-week trip, it kind of made up for it. So yeah, I'm happy to take the ad revenue. Obviously, I declare it as anybody would. I have on my self-assessment, I declare the YouTube channel as a business. Everything goes through that. I pay tax. But ultimately, it does help me go back to Vegas time and again, and for that, I make absolutely no apologies. But sponsorship, I don't know. We'll see. I doubt it. I kind of doubt it, but you never know. And Harry Sutton says, when in Vegas with Suzanne, does she have her own MGM card, or can her points go on yours? She always uses mine. She only ever comes to Vegas with me, so I have enough comps with my cards to get us a free holiday each time. So it's better for me to have her points going on my card so that I could she helped me reach the gold status for this trip with MGM Rewards, for example. Okay, we're over an hour now, an hour and 6 minutes or so. I'm going to zip through a few questions. I may not be able to finish them all. I'm really sorry. I've gone as quick as I can, but I started from the oldest ones, so the ones that got in there quick got them all answered. I'll do another 3 questions, and then we'll leave it for another session. So the Chiseler says, looking forward to seeing some of the casinos offer that you get after the coin-in. Well, I've already told you what I've been offered. And then Habib Saber says, have you talked to Dave and Michelle, because they haven't posted in over 3 years, and I'm curious if they're okay. Now this, actually, yes, this is, I'm glad this one came up towards the end, because I wanted to talk about the channel and friendships I've had over the years. And I had a comment on the videos asking where Jules was. And the person I felt was a little bit aggressive and kind of made it sound like, you know, I'd fallen out with him, and the guy said something like, I can't remember how he phrased it, but I didn't like the phrasing of it. It was almost like I'd done something to upset Jules, which isn't the case. Over the years, there's been quite a lot of people that have come and gone from my vlogs. You know, it's Dave and Michelle are a couple. Love those guys. Andrew Benet is another. Obviously, Jules, Rob Gocious. There's been a few, and I think just because they're not in the vlogs doesn't mean to say I'm not friends with them. And people, you know what people are like with YouTube drama. They want to think there's been some big falling out and everything else. But also, by the same token, there have been people, not just people that actually make an appearance in the vlogs, but people that I've kind of befriended on the back of the channel, and people kind of come and go. And for someone, I'm a really loyal person, and sometimes I do find that kind of hard to process. In as much as, and it can be just you might get someone who posts on your comments for years on end and then just disappears. Or it can be someone who you're friends on social media with for a number of years, and then they just disappear off. And sometimes you kind of think, oh, I haven't heard from such and such in a while. And you think, was it something I said? And it actually used to bother me. So I wanted to address this because it was something that, I'm not joking, it did used to kind of bother me, because it was like, oh, I've always had a good time with that person. I've always chatted, quite openly with that person. And all of a sudden, they're just not around at all. They've disappeared. And I think what I've kind of come to accept now is that I'm just the Vegas guy, when someone's about to have a trip or they're on a trip, I'm the guy that you send your 16 grand hand pay at 50 cents a spin to at 3 o'clock in the morning. For some reason, I'm the one you think of over, your friends or family. I'm the guy that, you want to bounce ideas off for an upcoming trip. I'm not the guy that you think about probably when you're not thinking about Vegas. It's just Bridget, the Vegas guy, and I think that's the same for, people that have come and gone from my videos over the years as well. And I think the way I now see it, I kind of reframe the way I look at it now in recent times. My vlog is like a train that just keeps on going, and each trip it stops off at a station and people jump on and they jump off, but the train keeps going on regardless. Some people stay from the start and are still sat in their seat quite happily. Other people jump on with great fanfare, only to realise it's not for them and jump off. And then some people jump on in recent years, All of these people that I listed that have been in my vlogs, I love them all dearly, but they have lives outside of Vegas and, in effect, being in my vlogs from Vegas. So, I've not spoken to Dave and Michelle in answer to that specific question. I've not heard huge amounts from Jules, although I have reached out to him a number of times. And I just think people have lives. And I'm sure Jules will be back in Vegas before you know it. As far as I'm aware, he hasn't been in Vegas since I last saw him there in July last year for the Morrissey concert. Dave and Michelle, I've no idea. I reach out to Rob Gocious every so often, and I'd love to see him in Vegas again. And Andrew Benet is happy. He's got a partner. And I actually did see him in London a couple of years ago, and I'd love to see him in Vegas again. So all of these people, they're still friends, of course. I don't really expect anything. I'll just accept, whoever's around at any given time. If they want to meet up, great. Okay, and my final question, which is from Crystal Vegas Baby. How you doing? She says, I'd say a fantastic ROI on this trip, securing gold and hopefully some decent offers from Venetian Palazzo to follow. Always a fun watch when Suzanne is along. I mentioned to Casey, we need Suzanne to do a pool segment and rate her Vegas pool selections. You will have to ask her if she's willing to film a top 5 for your Q&A video and her fans. Well, I did ask her, Crystal. Sadly, she's not prepared to come on the Q&A. She said, oh, well, can I not just tell you? So anyway, she has told me. So I've written down everything Suzanne told me to tell you about her top 5 Vegas pools and the reasons for them. So before we go down the top 5, the the things she's judging them on are the comfort of the sunbeds, the ease of getting said sunbed, how close together the sunbeds are, and how many times you are hassled for drinks by the waitress staff. Now, most people would say, well, if you're asked if you want a drink quite regularly, that's good service. Suzanne finds it highly irritating. So basically, she just wants to be left alone to enjoy the sun and her book and whatever else she's doing. And the final measurement is how hot is the pool, or how cold is the pool. In other words, is it heated or is it freezing cold? So those are the 5 measurements. And her top 5 pools are, at number 5, Park MGM. At number 4, Venetian Palazzo. At number 3, Fontainebleau. At number 2, Aria. And at number 1, Circa. And the reason she loves Circa is for the big sports screens. Suzanne is a bigger sports fan than I am. So she can sit there with her headphones in watching the sport all day long at Circa. So Stadium Swim wins that particular vote. Now, she did say, and if people are asking, she says, I love Bellagio pool, but it's hard to get a bed. And also you get hassled for drinks too much. And Caesars, she says, love the pool setup, but the water there is far too cold. And I can vouch for that because the main circular pool at Caesars, the water is absolutely freezing. And I mean freezing. Almost to the point where you can't get in it, even in 110 degree heat. So I'm totally with Suzanne on that. So sorry she wouldn't come on the Q&A, but she's definitely more comfortable with the vlogging as a whole, but I think chatting and discussing questions and things like that isn't really for her at this stage. But anyway, there you go. That's in answer to the question. That is from the horse's mouth. Anyway, that is the end of the Q&A. Thank you so much, everybody, for all your questions. If I didn't get to them, I'm really sorry, but we've done an hour and a quarter or so. So thanks so much. I will be back next year in Vegas for sure. Kind of eyeing early in the year, but we'll see. But until then, have a wonderful kind of end of summer, autumn and holiday period. I will probably pop up in a UK gambling vlog at some point. But I will see you again on this channel, of course, in the not too distant future. Take care, everybody, and thanks for watching.